And now, for more on this visit by Donald Trump to Japan, I can welcome Shogo Suzuki, Senior Lecturer in the School of Social Sciences at the University of Manchester. Good morning, Shogo, and thank you for joining us. What is Japan expecting to get out of this visit by Donald Trump?
Well, I think first and foremost, the most important one is to get alliance assurances. The Japanese are very, very dependent on the Americans for their national defense. And with the rise in China and the nuclear armed Korea, it's essential to, in a way, embrace the United States even in a tighter embrace to make sure that they can keep President Trump's somewhat isolationist tendencies at bay.
Now, Shigeru Ishiba's government was strongly criticized for what many in Japan saw as an overly deferential approach to Donald Trump and for agreeing to a $550 billion investment in the US, which Trump will have the say on how it's spent. Is there any likelihood of Sanae Takaichi taking a different approach to her predecessor?
It's somewhat hard to say, really. In a way, perhaps to a certain extent, but I think a couple of things might come into play here. In terms of the investment, that is one thing, but also the tariffs and everything Japan agreed to, that potentially could damage Japan's agricultural sector, and Japan's agricultural sector has traditionally been a key voting constituency for the ruling Liberal Democratic Party in Japan. So she will have to kind of balance that out, and also there'll be other dynamics as well that might affect this. That's her own support within the party.
Now, Takaichi seems to know what buttons to press with Donald Trump. She said at their meeting today that she will recommend Donald Trump for a Nobel Peace Prize, which is really, possibly the least costly thing that you could do, but which actually might pay dividends. So, do you think that she's possibly taking a little bit of a charm offensive with the US president?
Oh, absolutely. In some ways, well, diplomats are trained to be very socially smooth operators, and if charming Trump and flattering Trump means that Trump is going to commit to Japan's defense, and also not invoke even higher tariffs. Let's not forget, originally I think the tariff was 25%. That was originally what was proposed, and it's now got it down to 15%. But if it brings results, then so be it. But it also is symbolic of the fact that the US is one of the most powerful players in the Asia Pacific, and Japan isn't really, especially in the security area. It reflects the power imbalance.
Now, Donald Trump, as he has done with many other US allies, has demanded that Japan allocate more funds to military spending. Takaichi has said that Japan will do that. But is this going to go down well in a country that has an aging population and really has mounting costs?
It will go down very badly. Like many countries, developed countries, Japan is suffering from the cost of living crisis, and also and people's wages have been stagnant as well. And on top of this, new tax rise, it will be a tough one, a tough pill for the Japanese public to swallow, but. On the other hand, if Japan were to maintain the same level of deterrence that it has now, without any US help, it would have to actually increase its defense budget by 300%. So, in a way, the Japanese public have to accept the fact of the new security environment, and also finally come to a realization that, in a way, Japan has been free riding off an awful lot of American goodwill as well. I mean, not to say that protection Japan was also in the US interests, but in many ways, the US did provide a lot of public goods.
Now, Japan is not America's only ally in the region, and there are also other countries in the region that whose leaders Donald Trump has had a fairly good relationship with in the past, to two of whom might be considered potential adversaries of Japan, North Korea, and China. Is there a worry in Japan that Donald Trump's his head can be turned quite easily by personal relationships with other leaders, that this might actually be to Japan's detriment?
Well, Japan passing and cozy relations with China has often been a problem. North Korea is a harder one to read. There was a lot of fanfare and trumpets when President Trump visited, visited Singapore and had direct talks with Kim Jong-un in his first presidency. But on the other hand, despite all the pomp and circumstance, he achieved very, very little. And also the fear of the United States is so deeply ingrained within North Korea. I really can't see President Trump achieving much. And probably I would imagine that Tokyo will be gambling that North Korea will prove to be another disappointment for Trump. Because it's not going to do what Trump wants anyway. So I think they'll be banking on that a little.